Greetings, I am Dako Jacqueline Mashiko, and tonight we are at Stekeniko at Rosebank. We have been invited to watch a documentary, not just a documentary, a powerful documentary, and it is named Can't Look Away, The Case Against Social Media by Code, the campaign on digital ethics. And this documentary is to create awareness to creating a safer digital space for everyone, most especially targeting children. So come with us and let us enjoy and be a part of this powerful movement.
Abenzima nokubekezela yilikhuni nalendlela inde impumelelo iyasetshenzela iphesho kwinalendlela inye abenzima nokubekezela yilikhuni nalendlela inde impumelelo iyasetshenzela iphesho kwinalendlela inye awu ekela lumona ukuze senze kahle umnyango sobona nawe lendi ngawe indlela idlala ikhona noma ungenze njani umnyango sobona yonke indimi ngawe ekela lumona ukuze senze kahle umnyango sobona.
The social media companies know what their products are doing to young people. They know the levels of addiction. They know the levels of suicide, but they have no legal brakes on their behavior.
What this documentary shows is the impact that algorithms are having on young people, in particular children, and how they're getting sucked into various rabbit holes on social media that then is contributing towards increased depression and anxiety. And whilst the documentary does focus on children, I think for those of us who are on social media platforms, we can relate a bit to what the sort of findings in this documentary.
So I think it's about speaking to the people that children are living with, giving them the skills to share the concerns and dangers of the internet, and I think this movie particularly showed that, rather than saying you can't use it or you shouldn't use it, because it is beneficial, but teaching them the skills, the dangers, and how to find those, I think is how we need to go, because you can't tell kids not to do stuff anymore.
I think in general, requiring that these very powerful companies have, say, copies of all of our IDs does not reduce the stranglehold that they have over us. And even if that kept kids out, kids are creative, that doesn't actually change the harms that we as adults are exposed to by the same designs and things like that. So I did appreciate that the documentary focused a great deal on things like how the apps are designed, how their algorithms work, what they choose to show users and what they push to users, rather than maybe the easy solution to reach for, which is we can simply try as best as possible to gate children from these apps.
One of the reasons for showing this film is because October is Mental Health Month, and we need to think about Mental Health Month, and a lot of this film was about the tragic suicidal consequences that social media can have on the most vulnerable. Now, consider that in South Africa, we have an epidemic of suicide. And in particular, we have an epidemic of teen suicide. Teen suicide accounts for 9% of teenage deaths in our country. Suicide is the second leading cause of death amongst people between the ages of 15 and 35. Now, we don't know to what extent social media has anything to do with that, and one of the problems I was thinking about as we were watching the film is actually we don't know much about what's going on in South Africa or the impact in South Africa. All we know is anecdotally what is going on. So more power to Code's elbow, as they say, in trying to build this type of awareness. But it's a public health threat. It's a mental health threat. It's a threat to children's rights. In our country, children have constitutional rights. I checked the Constitution this afternoon before I came here. Section 28 says every child has a right to protection from maltreatment and abuse. And I think that when you insert this into children who are not making an informed choice when they start to use social media, and I believe most of us in this room are addicts to social media, but in particular in the interests of children. So what can be done? And I'll finish with this. I suggest a short list of 5 things, but this is just a starter pack. We have to start conversations on this. Secondly, we have to take action where we can and where we still have power. We mustn't think of this as something that is so vast that there is nothing that actually can be done. There are a growing number of organizations in our country.
Very documentary. But now I want us to shift into the era that we are in right now, which is AI. You know, you have AI human-like concepts, you know. So how can we ensure that these AI human-like concepts cannot be turned into something that is as ruthless as these social media platforms?
I think that's a very good question. And the first thing is that because AI is going to affect every single person's life, every single person needs to understand AI. We were talking this evening about digital literacy. We need AI literacy, and we need people to be assisted to understand AI so that they can make informed choices about how AI interacts with them in their lives. So that's a critical thing. The second thing, again, is we have to work out what regulations do we need. We can't roll back the clock. AI is here to stay and it's going to be part of our futures. But how do we ensure that it serves human interest rather than undermines human interest? It's a huge field and it's a huge topic, but we have to get on top of it.
So bringing it back to South Africa and also bringing it back to what you said on the platform, that you had to deal with the big pharma and we now have to deal with the big tech. But tech is it's a broad industry and it's very powerful, because looking at the documentary, you see how well connected these owners of these companies are. So what exactly can we do to bring such a movement from the United States into South Africa? Because I'm very certain that there are many people, many children in South Africa who are victims to such.
So you're right. Big tech is hugely powerful. It's run by the richest people in the world. It controls most of the scientific research that is going on in the world. They're hugely powerful. But they are not more powerful than ordinary people if ordinary people are organized. Because we are the market for big tech. We are the consumers of big tech. And if we organize ourselves in the millions, starting off in the thousands and then the tens of thousands and the hundreds of thousands, we can push them back. But we have to build moral power and understanding. You mentioned that I mentioned Big Pharma. You know, Big Pharma is also hugely powerful. Some of the richest companies in the world. They seemed untouchable 20 years ago. But we managed to build a movement where everybody across the board was saying that people should have a right of access to medicines and affordable medicines, which meant that we were able to defeat Big Pharma. We were able to defeat them in court. They had to change for a little while their pricing policies. So people must never forget that we do have power. And in South Africa, we have a lot of power because we have a constitution that gives each one of us rights to demonstrate, rights to litigate, rights of access to information, and so on and so on. But we have to start. And the point is that I think at the moment, South Africa and the people of South Africa are very vulnerable. We are very at risk because we have a low level of understanding of what AI, social media, of the dangers that it presents to us.
And we are definitely stuck between a rock and a hard place in this moment, because we can't say shut down the apps. But at the same time, as much as they can create whatever regulations to somewhat protect the people. But because of Section 230, these apps have the immunity. So at this point, what is it? Are we shutting down the apps, or are we adding more regulations? Or should Section 230 actually be for the people to say, let the people have more immunity than the apps?
Yeah, well, you heard in the film Section 230 in this American legislation, was introduced in 1998. The world has changed completely since 1998. So Section 230 needs to be amended to put people back in power and not these companies in power. Unfortunately, that may be difficult at the moment in the United States because we have a authoritarian government under Donald Trump, which is supported and funded by the big tech giants. So we're going to have to start somewhere else in the way that we address them. And again, I just feel that it starts with us. It starts with us and our organizing, and it starts with us, as I said, reclaiming control over our own spaces. If you don't talk to your friends, if I don't talk to my children, if people don't talk, if parents don't talk to their children, then it's not possible to begin to create that ripple that goes out and out and out to the point that you actually have better public understanding and a movement around these questions.
Thank you very much.
Is lighting good? Sorry.
Wait for me. Highlighting the lights.
He knows his job. Top dog. A very powerful documentary this was. So what motivated Code to bring this documentary to South Africa?
So Code, just to start off by saying, Code, or the Campaign on Digital Ethics, is a civil society organization that is focused on digital rights and digital ethics. And so we've been doing digital literacy trainings with different groups of people, including young people. And one of the things that we realized was that it's very important for us to engage the youth, because the youth spend a significant amount of time online. And we've also realized that, unfortunately, as much as social media has its benefits in terms of creating access, in terms of engaging with different people, advocacy, etc., we also found that there's a significant downside to social media, which really impacts the mental health, in particular of young people, and how they view themselves. And it was important for us to shine light on this in this month of October, which is Mental Health Awareness Month in South Africa. So it's quite a significant moment for us to really engage on these topics. But also, again, there are developments happening globally around online safety for children in particular. And it's important for us in South Africa to have those conversations, for parents to understand and know what is happening with social media and how they can protect their children, but also for young people to know how they should be engaging on social media platforms, how they can protect themselves, and how obviously we can all hold big tech companies accountable.
So looking at children and looking at how much they need digital devices, because you look at the fact that now school is also digital, how can we actually help minimize and have more control on the children's usage on these digital platforms?
So for us at Code, one thing that we've said throughout when we do digital literacy trainings or presentations is it's very important for people to unplug. That includes young people themselves. So it's important for us to regulate how much screen time young people have, but also important for parents to know what their children are engaging in. So who are they speaking to? What are they speaking about is quite important. And I think even for young people to know the avenues that they have when they are, for example, being bullied, being cyber-stalked, etc., by other young people or even by adults online. And so for us, it's important for people first to unplug. The second part of it is to learn how to use the digital tools we have, right? So there are tools that train you how to pick up, for example, on artificial intelligence. And this is an important thing when we start speaking about deep fakes, which are AI generated videos that are more often than not used to actually extort young people, or people in general are used to blackmail people. And so it's quite important for us to know about those things. So it's important to train, to educate. And that's why the work that ourselves at the Campaign on Digital Ethics, the work that, for example, Media Monitoring Africa and others are doing is quite important, so that we shine the spotlight on what is happening, but we teach different groups of people as well. Our model is to teach members of communities, to teach civil society organizations, so that they can also teach others about the dangers of social media. We've seen in the movie that we watched today, in the documentary that we watched today, that social media has real dangers, but it's important for us to empower ourselves to work against those real dangers.
So what other uplifting events can we look forward to from Code, considering that this was an absolute success? What else is coming?
So thanks so much for asking that. So we have our monthly First Thursdays event. Today was one of those. So we host our First Thursdays event on every first Thursday of every new month. And so we tackle different topics. We've tackled radicalization, for example. We've also tackled last month, for example, online influencers as well, and their role and responsibility. And then obviously this month we've tackled social media use and mental health. And so we'd like to invite everybody to just come and join us. We send out that information. You can contact us on www.code sa.org or .org, and we will be more than willing and available to assist people. So we work with communities, we work with civil society organizations, but we also work with individuals and schools. I will say that what is very important for us as Code is to hopefully get to a stage where we can engage with, for example, the Department of Basic Education, so that we can start implementing digital literacy training at school level, so that from a very young age, young people in particular know what to do on social media, know how to unplug, because again, the algorithm shows you things. Sometimes it's things that you're not even wanting to see, and unfortunately you get drawn into them. So it's important for us to teach young people about that and incorporate it in the school's curriculum as much as possible, but also engage with teachers and parents and others.
Well, thank you very much for having us at Show Me a Number to such a powerful event.
Thank you so much for really inviting us as well to engage with your viewers. Have a lovely evening.